What's going on, everybody? It's Matt Marchese, also known as Islanders Daily, your home for everything from the four-time Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Bo Horvat being good to go for the year, our nationally televised games, my line projections for the season, and our Ryan Pulock outlook. So to get things started, we're going to be talking about Bo Horvat. He was just out at Matt Martin's charity event yesterday where he talked to reporters, and he said he is good to go for the season. He feels fully healthy, and he's ready to go. So this is a huge get for the Islanders, for Horvat to be completely healthy once again. And, he got injured at that World Championship, but he's eased in back to it, and he's feeling good to go. Horvat, last year in 81 games played, had 28 goals and 29 assists for 57 points. Not the best year for Horvat. Last year, the year before that, he had 33 goals and 35 points for 68 points. But the Islanders were a weird team last year, dealt with a lot of injuries. Just was not our season last year, right? That's all we can say. It was not our season last year with all the injuries and such. So getting a fully healthy Horvat back will definitely be huge. Now, jumping from that, we're going to be talking about our nationally televised games for the season. This is going to be, we got 10. We got 10 nationally televised games. That's a little shocking to me. I was not expecting those to get that many national televised games. And I know, I love Brendan and Butch, but luckily, Brendan did tweet out that he will be announcing some of our nationally televised games. So that's huge to still get and such a great announcer that we can listen to. And, because when he's announcing the games for the Islanders with Butch, it's just such a combo. I love it. They're amazing. So being able to still hear Brendan on those national televised games is huge. So to break televised games on October 16th, we will be playing the Edmonton Oilers. Restoring that 1980s rivalry a little bit. So that should be a fun one. McDavid, Draisaitl, I'm excited for it. Then from there on October 30th, we play the Carolina Hurricanes, our kryptonite. The Hurricanes are our kryptonite. So hopefully we can beat them on national television and prove like, hey, we can beat you guys. So I'm excited. Hopefully we get good things going, get the season rolling. And yeah, hopefully we beat them. Then on December 9th, we will be playing the Vegas Golden Knights. What an interesting, fun game that is. I love the jersey matchup there. The Golden Knights white jersey is one of my favorite in the NHL, so it's going to be a beautiful thing to look at on the ice, that jersey matchup. And it's a fun, interesting game, too. You don't really, it's a rare game that kind of happens, and to have it on national television is definitely cool, and I'm excited for it. Then from there, January 6th, we get one of our Metro opponents in the New Jersey Devils on national television. Makes sense to be playing the Devils on national television. Not much to talk about there. Then on Wednesday, January 21st, the weirdest national television game, in my opinion, is we play the Seattle Kraken at 9:30 in Seattle. That is just such a weird game to me to be on national television. I don't know how it got picked. I'm not complaining, but it's certainly an interesting decision. But it's going to be a cool game. Teams who don't really play that often on national television. I'm excited. Who knows? Maybe I'll even go to that game. Maybe I'll fly down to Seattle, or fly down. You don't fly down to Seattle. Maybe I'll fly up to Seattle and maybe watch a game. That could be interesting. I don't know, though. We'll have to wait and see. Then from there on January 28th, who else do we play but the New York Rangers? Our biggest rivalry on national television. Of course, that's going to be there. Both teams had what I'd like to call horrendous seasons last year. So I'm excited to see how it goes, right? Both teams did not exactly have a good season last year. So we'll see. We'll see how each team shows their improvement this season, and it should be cool. It should be a cool, fun game. Then from there on February 3rd, we play the Pittsburgh Penguins, another Metropolitan team. Penguins aren't really that good. It's nothing really too exciting. It's just an Islanders-Penguins game. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then on March 1st, we play the reigning Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers. And it makes sense. We're playing the Panthers on national television. Hopefully we can smack them around on national television. I think that'd be awesome. Of course, it's going to be a tough game. Any team who wins 2 Stanley Cups in a row clearly is a dominant force in the NHL. And there'll be another dominant force this season. So we'll see. We will see. Hopefully we're able to take it to them and prove our worth. And it's happening a little later in the year. Who knows? who knows? It could be important games for us. I'm assuming the Panthers will probably be almost clinched by then. But for us, I think it could be an important game. Then on March 5th, we play the Los Angeles Kings, out West Coast. It should be fun. It's kind of another interesting game. We played, a lot of West Coast teams kind of, now that I think about it, on national television. That's a little odd. I don't know how that happened, but maybe New York, West Coast, I don't know. But yeah, we play the Kings, and then on March 10th, we play the St. Louis Blues as our final nationally televised game. Just an Islanders Blues game. Again, not much to really say there. Another West opponent. Who knows why we're playing so many on national television? I don't know. So I got to maybe look and find that out. But yeah, it should be a fun game there late in the season on TNT. And yeah, so we play 3 games in March on national television in pretty quick succession there. So yeah, it should be fun. And that's when the season's kind of starting to get towards the end and everything. So yeah, jumping from there, we are going to be talking about my line predictions for the season. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. It is going to be an interesting one. Now, the lines, it's hard to tell what the lines are going to be, but this is my prediction for what the lines will be this season. So, on the first line, I think it is going to be Bo Horvat centering, of course. Then you're going to have Drouin and Barzal on the wings. I really think that's what they're going to go for. A Drouin, Horvat, Barzal line, our first line. And I like that line. I like that line a lot. Barzal can make the playmaking abilities happen to Horvat and Drouin. So I'm excited to see. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think Barzal will play center this year. I think he will play on the wing again. But again, the Islanders, who knows what they're going to do really with the line projections, because there's so many different ways they can go with these projections. So once again, this is just what I would like to see as the lines, but you never know what's going to happen. So first line, I have Drouin, Horvat, and Barzal. Now, for the second line, I have Anders Lee, Kyle Palmieri, and Simon Holmstrom on our second line. And I really like that line. I think Simon Holmstrom has just continued to improve a ton over just a gradual increase, and he's been great. Lee, Palmieri, both older guys playing with the young guy and Holmstrom. I think that's a solid second line that you can get. And there's definitely offensive potential on that line. And so that's the line I'd really want to see for our second line this season. Again, not sure if they're going to do that, but I think Holmstrom does not deserve to be in the bottom 6 anymore. He is a top 6 forward on this team. And I think playing with Lee and Palmieri will be huge. So for our third line, I have Anthony Duclair, JG Pajot, and Maxime Shabanov. And this is kind of where it gets really, really difficult, in my opinion, because you have solid lines there. But I have Shabanov on the third line, playing with Duclair and Pajot. I think this is a good position for Duclair on this line. This is a good opportunity to change his fortune, because we all know how last year went with the argument getting kind of publicly humiliated by Patrick Roy. Being on this third line, he doesn't have to carry the load that he had to carry last year. I mean, he injured his groin, kind of rushed it back. So I think being on a line with Pajot and Shabanov is good. Now, here's kind of where the problem is. Pajot and Duclair, Shabanov is very skilled. We've seen it in the KHL. He has silky hands. So I'd like to see maybe he can get the line rolling a little better than it would have been with just different players. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. Now, for our fourth line, I have Emil Heineman, Casey Cizikas, and Max Siplikov. Now, Siplikov, I know I gave him a high projection on yesterday's episode, and it's tough to say. I'm a very optimistic guy. I'll go talk about that a little more when I talk about Ryan Pollock. But I just think Holmstrom deserves to be playing over him. Shabanov, it's tough. I could see Shabanov and Siplikov maybe changing spots, but I think Shabanov has maybe a little more upside than Siplikov. But again, who knows how these lines are going to play out. But I have Heineman, Cizikas, and Siplikov as the fourth line. But again, these things can completely change. Who knows? Maybe they throw Duclair on the right wing and put Siplikov on the left with Pajot and Shabanov. You never know these things. Actually, I wouldn't mind that line. I would not mind that line that I just said. But we're going to keep it how I was originally saying. Emil Heineman, Casey Cizikas, and Maxime Siplikov. Now, heading to the defensemen. Our first pair defensemen, I have Alexander Romanov and Tony DeAngelo. We saw them play a little together last year. They did very well together. I think they're a good pairing for each other. Tony DeAngelo kind of burst onto the scene out of nowhere. Played good. Romanov, strong, heavy hitter, defensive. You'll never have that super offensive ability with Romanov, but I think having DeAngelo there as your offensive guy is a good contrast between the two, and I think that's a solid first pair. Now, for our second pair, we have Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock. Now, this is weird because I am talking about Ryan Pulock in my season projection here, but he's not good. Ryan Pulock is not good anymore. I could potentially see him getting benched later in the season. That's maybe a hot take that I think Pulock might be out of the defensive rotation, but he's making so much money where I don't know if you can take him out of the rotation. But yeah, that is my second pairing right now. The Pelech-Pulock pairing. They've been together for years now. They've kind of declined in the recent years, but yeah. So finally, for our third pairing, I have Matthew Schaefer and Adam Boqvist. Now, you could really go with Boqvist or Scott Mayfield. I just think Adam Boqvist is the better defenseman. But I could obviously see them putting Scott Mayfield there. Maybe they want to put more a veteran presence with Schaefer instead of Boqvist. They might want to put him with Mayfield. So I could see that. So that line is going to be that pairing, I should say, is going to be really 50-50. It's Schaefer 100%, but then it comes down to Mayfield and Boqvist. And for me, I'm going to say Boqvist right now, but whoever performs better in training camp and in the preseason, I think gets that role with Schaefer. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And for goaltenders, of course, Ilya Sorokin and David Riddick will be there with Varlamov still on the injured reserve. So that is my line projections for this season. Obviously, I'm not the coach. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't see them playing all the time on training camp, who has good chemistry and such. But those are the lines I'd like to see for this season. Now, finally, our final topic of the day is our Ryan Pulock outlook for the season. And it's going to be tough. I've said it before. I'm a very optimistic person. Maybe I gave Anders Lee and Siplikov a little too much credit in my last projections, outlooks. But I'm optimistic. I see the best out of people, I like to say. I see the best. And here with Ryan Pulock, I do not see the best. I do not see the best with Ryan Pulock. I don't think Pulock is good anymore. Defensively, he was kind of horrendous last year. Anytime he came onto the ice, made a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of errors, and Adam Pelech kind of made up for him, where Pelech had a good season and Pulock did not. Now, Pulock in 74 games had 5 goals, 18 assists, and 23 points. He will be well under that this year. Like I said, that is my hot take. I think Adam Pulock has the potential to get taken out of the defensive pairings, and for us, it's going to be tough to see. He's been such I'll go back to that moment when we played the Lightning and he slid across and saved that with his hand. That was truly unforgettable, but that Ryan Pulock is no more. He is no more. This is an older, washed Ryan Pulock. Who knows? Maybe he can have a resurgence here. I'm not seeing it. I don't see a good year at all from Ryan Pulock. Again, I think he hits around 5 goals that he's hit for the last 4 seasons. He's had 5 goals in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. That is crazy. You know what? We'll go for it. 5 goals each in 5 seasons. So he'll have another 5-goal year, but I think around, 10 to 13 assists, if that. I don't think he'll play the full 82 games this year. I think he will be benched a little later. And yeah, he just makes you lose your mind when Ryan Pulock comes on to the ice. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I wish you all the best. And as always, let's go Islanders.